What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be doing the beginning of our 3-round mock draft with trades. So if you guys are new, I would love for you guys to stick around, like, comment, subscribe. We are booming right now, and it's all thanks to you guys. I really appreciate you guys for believing in me. It gives me the motivation to go through every day. If you guys have criticism, of course, feel free to leave that because you guys are the super fans. You follow 32 team. Well, actually, you follow one team. I follow 32. So the nuances, you guys always teach me, and I love learning from you guys. That's the best part of the job, is also being able to talk with you, which is why you should join the Discord. Do stuff over there like all 22 tape studies that you can't do on YouTube because it's illegal. So would rather not get banned immediately. But again, join the community, show some support. Would love to have you guys as part of it. Let's get right into this. And yes, I'm going to be trading the #1 overall pick. I did a no trades mock earlier this week. The amount of people saying I needed to trade the #1 overall pick, insane. So just remember that first video, no trades. There's a reason for it. Because then I can't just instantly trade out like with this pick. I don't know why the hell that PFF.com wants me to trade out with the Tennessee Titans. But I know that there's a lot of connections here to Indy. And you're going to see every mock draft this week go with Indy. I want to show you guys something a little bit more original. And I still think it's a very, very, very big possibility. And it's the Panthers. Like, I totally agree. The most logical option is going to be Indy. But every damn draft network is going to be doing that trade. And I want to provide you guys something that's both realistic as well as fresh. So we're going to totally change it up here. We are going to be trading up. Where the hell are you? There we go. The Carolina Panthers. And of course, for this is going to require a substantial amount of draft capital. The Carolina Panthers, in my opinion, don't have that many holes. I know that you guys might disagree. The corner room, yeah. I mean, Mike Evans literally showed you the reason why one of my favorite guys a couple years ago, Keith Taylor, maybe not up to snuff. But being able to get a quarterback is huge. And I'm not going to want to get Will Levis at #9. And you're going to have to pay the package to move up anyways. And I know the Bears are going to be getting at least 2 firsts from the Colts. So the best thing we can do is offer the Bears an early second-round pick so that they can get what's close to what their original second-round pick that they sent for Chase Claypool. Let's not get into that. Well, of course, I'm a Steelers fan, so we can get into that all we want. But honestly, if you want to toss in a future 3, go for it. I mean, again, that's not going to affect this mock draft. They're not going to give a 1-2-2 and a 1. That doesn't seem to be logical enough in the draft capital range, but you can, I mean, sure. If it makes you feel better. It makes you feel better, Bears fans. You get next year 3. But we are going to be trading up with Carolina to get Bryce Young. Is this realistic? 100%. This team is desperate for a quarterback. New regime coming in. Bryce Young is the best QB in the class. And regardless, the Bears are trading that #1 overall pick. It feels like it's about 90 to 95% certainty at this moment. So if they trade it, Bryce Young's gone. The Texans are probably still looking to see if they can get a quarterback. So you might be losing out on CJ. And then, well, shit. You're kind of stuck waiting for Will Levis, and that just, to me, doesn't feel right. So at this pick, this is something that I've been debating ever since the draft order changed, and it's what to do here. Now, CJ Stroud could be the guy you go after. I've seen Will Levis be the guy who goes in mock drafts. I just did a video with Broshmo, and there was a high possibility that he would have went with Will Levis in that video, but we decided to go after the CJ Stroud route. And I just want to pose this idea. I know you're never going to be in that #2 spot if you end up getting a solid veteran quarterback and then getting a superstar player. And that takes you out of the range for Drake May and Caleb Williams next year. Of course, you could pull a Jaguars and be there again. But to me, I don't know if this team's really built for CJ yet. So I want to pose this idea. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I would go Jalen Carter here. I would do it in a heartbeat. But at the same time, what you have to realize, and this is something that just popped in my head again, this is all live for you guys who are new. You also, by essentially saying, hey, we are going to take Jalen Carter, you're almost guaranteeing that the Cardinals are going to be taking Will Anderson, and you're giving CJ Stroud in your division to the Colts. So there's definitely some motive to be able to go QB here, just to go this to the Indianapolis Colts. And you guys know me, I love to give the middle finger to an in-division rival. So I have reconvinced myself to go after a quarterback here. CJ Stroud ended off on as high of a note as possible. He kicked Georgia's ass, and he lost not because of what he did. And you know what? That's as good of a way of going out as you could possibly imagine. If he went out and balled out versus TCU in the final, that wouldn't have boosted his draft stock at all. Like, this was the game to look at. So he definitely has boosted his draft stock a ton. So you are not only getting the quarterback for your team, but you're also saying we are going to be limiting the Colts to an option that might not be nearly as good. Holy shit, Will Anderson and Jalen Carter are still on the board. And depending on what the Colts do, the Seahawks actually might be in range for Will Anderson. So, yeah, this pick to me is very simple. You still have your second round pick. You still have an early third round pick, and this is a very deep edge class. I like Will Anderson a lot. You also have developing edge rushers like Myles Sanders, who I think could develop into something really special. Defensive interior, to me, is still something you could upgrade. And with the loss of J.J. Watt, you do have a hole there. Jalen Carter is absolutely special. And he is one of those guys who does fit the generational category. The word gets thrown around a lot. Like, Jordan Davis got generational because of his athleticism at his size. Jalen Carter, he's very, very unique. He's that Aaron Donald-esque type player, and that is generational. Bryce Young's not a generational QB. He's a very, very, very good QB. But this guy's a generational talent. So definitely worth that number 3 overall pick. Number 4, so I debate trading out here. I would, because I don't see Seattle. I don't see the Rams. I just saw LA. I don't see the Lions. I don't see the Raiders going after a guy like Will Levis. I don't see any of these teams until the damn Titans being legitimately considering Will Levis. Because, I mean, teams that need QBs, I think that they're better set off with somebody who's more of a scheme fit that Will Levis does not seem to fit the mold of. And you have Will Anderson on the board. So apparently, I think there's some rumors going around that like Steichen and stuff and Gannon are under interview for the head coaching position. Well, he will be. Interview requests are put in for the head coaching job of the Colts. And this sounds insane, but let's have a little bit of fun here. I make a mock draft every week. We always have another week to be able to revise this. I think this is a really fun and unique opportunity to say, hey, Colts, do you guys want to move back, still get your quarterback? Like, I don't think number 4 is the right spot for it. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are in striking range of Will Anderson, and I am so sorry to the damn Seahawks right here because I'm absolutely screwing you guys over. But the value of 10-4 is roughly worth a second first-round pick, and we're going to test it out this time. Howie definitely, if he sees Will Anderson on the board, do not complain about spending 2 first-round picks. I will not even like remotely look at your comment. I love looking at all the comments. But if you're getting mad about moving up and getting Will Anderson, think again. And if you guys want future draft capital, it's not going to affect this mock draft. So what affects this mock draft is that second first-round pick, which you can use on an offensive lineman. You can use to trade up later on. I don't know. You guys can do whatever the hell you want with it. But you are still within range for Will Levis. And now at this pick, Seattle, he's like, damn, man. Like, we are stuck here at 5. And trading out is the best option. Here is the issue. Will Levis is on the board. Yes, you can retrade up with Indy, and then you can go that way. Like, you could just do a 3-way trade and just say, hey, we'll give you our second round pick, our early second. And that wouldn't be a bad idea. But they don't need that. They don't. The Seahawks don't need that. And I know that Will Levis could be aggressively sought after. I don't know. This last quarterback class, we had that idea about Malik Willis being the number 2 overall pick. I don't necessarily see it. But we could actually, I mean, Irsay is the type where he's like, hey, I'll give up. Like, he could be giving up a future draft capital. Like, we'll see. Let's just test it out. So the Colts, you could be trading this draft capital to move up here. And then now you still keep the same amount of picks. Also, Seattle, you can use that for future draft capital. We're going to test it out. We're going to have some fun here. There we go. Will Levis. Yes, is it the most realistic thing in the world? No. But there are 3-way trades that do happen. And that way the Colts, you move up in the second round to the end of the first, allowing that 5th-year contract. And then you also get your quarterback, and the Eagles get their Will Anderson. Also, there's no way in hell, like if I'm the Seahawks, I can get an extra early second round pick. I'm doing it in a heartbeat. There's just nobody who's remotely worth it at pick 10 or at pick number 5. But pick number 6, I'm stuck here between Myles Murphy as well as a corner. And without Jared Verse on the board, I'll scroll down so you guys get to see a little bit more on my board. Without Jared Verse on the board, I am a little bit more concerned about the corners who would be there. The Eagles have already moved up to select their own pass rusher. I'm going to go after the edge route. I always go Joey Porter Jr. here. Oh, you know what? No, I don't give James Houston enough credit. I don't. Let's go after a corner here. Let's go Joey Porter. I know. JPJ has just been my move. He's my number 3 player in the draft. I think he definitely could be a Hall of Fame level corner. Just someone who's really special at processing the field. And is he too grabby? Yes. So is Sauce Gardner, who's considered the best prospect in the NFL at the cornerback position. So, being grabby is just part of the game at this point. But pick number 7 for the Raiders. Now, Myles Murphy fits really well here. He's someone who can also kick inside because of his size. Just a really consistent dude. Now, I know you guys are probably scared of a Clemson interior or a Clemson edge rusher in the top 10, but I can admit he is definitely worth it. It's a new pick that I haven't taken for this team, and it is something that is on your board. Offensive line, you could have gone Peter Skoronski there, but you're drafting a guard at 7. It's a little bit rich for me, so getting Myles Murphy, never a bad thing. Pick number 8. So Tyree Wilson's going to be going in this range. I think this is an excellent spot for him. I love the idea of corner just because, again, you have Casey Hayward for one more year, and then you have A.J. Terrell. So having a no-fly zone, never a bad thing in a very pass-heavy NFL. But you need help in the pass rush. And I don't know who's going to be there at the beginning of the second, based on the fact that teams that are more edge-hungry could also be looking for those guys, and they have those early second-round picks. I'm going to go Tyree Wilson here. The hype is going to be through the roof, 6'6", 275. He's an amazing run stuffer at the beginning, but he also has production in the pass, and he's super raw as a pass rusher. So even he's overcome those deficiencies as a pass rusher to be able to still produce. And to me, that is just absolutely awesome. So let's continue on here. Pick number 9 for the Chicago Bears who traded back. You guys are still in a great position to get whatever the hell you want. And yeah, you ended up not being able to get Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. Like, you could have gotten Will Anderson if you traded to 4. I understand that. And that does suck. But it is a risk you take. You picked up that extra early second round pick. You got that extra first rounder next year. So now, who is the best player available? I think Peter Skoronski needs to be at least looked at this spot. Boosting the offense and preparing for Justin Fields to have even better protection, never a bad thing. And I think that's a good spot. It's a nice soft spot to go. There's a lot of edge rushers in this class. Again, you have that early second round pick. So you can totally use that in any way, shape, or form that you want to be able to relax and enjoy yourself and kick some ass. Let's go Peter Skoronski here. Again, I'm just trying to change it up for you guys, having a nice, entertaining mock draft that is unlike any other one, but it's still realistic. The Bears could still be looking for offensive line help, and Peter Skoronski is a great fit for that. Pick number 10. So Seattle traded back. There are a plethora of dudes here, and I think Brian Breezy, because of the lack of defensive interiors in the class, most of the round 2 guys decided to just say, I'm going to book it. And defensive interior still is a position I really want to look at for this team, and I am very, very, very unconfident in the rest of this interior defensive line class. I'm not very confident in Brian Breezy, but his issues pertain to missed tackles and his IQ. And he gets into the backfield, doesn't really know what's going on. His processor's not that great. But if there's somebody who I know could probably get that on the right track, it would probably be Pete Carroll. It's going to be Pete Carroll or Bill Belichick, who I trust the most on that front. And to me, that's why I'm taking the upside. I'm going to reduce my weighting on the IQ as well as the tackling because I know that's a strength of the development. And the rest of Brian Breezy is just absolutely phenomenal for sure. So he may be much lower on my board than most people's, but he's still a really good player, especially because this is a guy, when you have big deficiencies, fit matters so damn much. Pick number 11. Quentin Johnston's still on the board. I think that would be a great choice. Paris Johnson's not a bad one. You could look at offensive line here for sure. I do love offensive line for this team. But you could also try to help out your quarterback in any way, shape, or form. The tackles on the board, Anton Harrison's a really fun one who he's just heavily underrated at this point. He goes up against the guys who I have in my top 15 at number 12. And Felix Anudike-Uzomah lets up 4 pressures, but you see how he does it. And he's literally a couple technique tweaks away from being absolutely phenomenal. So I love him for that. Paris Johnson's going to get a lot of hype too, but apparently Broderick Jones, I'm not going to get a first round Georgia tackle for you guys, just to be honest, but I'm going to wait till the next round. There are round 2 tackles that I feel more comfortable in. Quentin Johnston still to me is wide receiver 1. Yes, he had a bad day. He did. But it wasn't necessarily his fault. You're going up against the best defense in college, and then also your quarterback is not doing you any favors. So I think that he's going to be perfectly fine. He's flashed out his potential all over the place. He looks kind of DeAndre Hopkins-y, so that's great. I think he has a bright future. We'll dive back into the All-22 when it comes out on him, but from my eye tape that I've seen in person, him at SMU, as well as the game tape from this year, as well as the All-22 from last, I'm pretty confident that he's going to do a damn good job. Pick number 12. So Jordan Addison, I think that's going to be a very, very, very lucrative option. And I think that probably is going to be the move. Getting a replacement for Brandon Cooks, never a bad idea. If you can't get your X wide receiver, you might as well get an elite level separator. I don't really see anybody else remotely worth taking. You could look at offensive tackle with Paris Johnson, but dude, Paris Johnson has issues. In my opinion, he's not that great. And I do see some very, very, very critical flaws. But Jordan Addison, to me, I think he's the best player on the board. This way, you are giving CJ Stroud another very elusive weapon. So I'm going to go with it. Jordan Addison out of USC and formerly Pittsburgh. So I love that. You're just getting a nice explosive weapon. I want to give Jordan Addison a little bit more hype because he continues falling in these, and he really shouldn't. But pick number 13 for the Jets. I think it's ludicrous if you don't go edge rusher. I think Brian Branch would be a fun, not edge rusher, offensive tackle. I think other positions you could look at are guys like Brian Branch. I would not look at a tight end at all until the later rounds because I do know you guys have some good players there. Quarterback, always on the board. Linebacker, there's just some really good guys in round 2. I'd feel very comfortable with that. So I'm going to address that tackle spot. Broderick Jones is a very good tackle. Anton Harrison, very good tackle. I'm going to go with Anton here over Broderick. I have him higher on my board for 1, but 2, Anton has played games at right tackle. So injuries happen a lot, especially for this Jets offensive line. So being able to have somebody who's comfortable at both left and right might be a very big plus that some other teams don't necessarily have. Pick number 14, Isaiah Wynn's gone, and you could say, oh, we're not going to replace him with another Georgia tackle, or we're going to replace him with a Georgia tackle. I'm going to still replace him with Broderick Jones. I think that's going to be the best case scenario. Pick number 15, I really like Brian Branch to this team. Safety definitely is a concern. I do see Keely Ringo's on the board, so you could have seen maybe the Patriots try to trade back and get Brian Branch anyway, but Adrian Amos is not going to be back. And a hyper-versatile defensive player in the first round seems to be kind of the Packers' MO, so I'm going to stick to it. Brian Branch is the move. Now this pick, I'm going to end up going after Keely Ringo out of Georgia. I think that he should be going higher. He has some deficiencies, but they're coachable. I think that people don't understand the ability to coach out some of this stuff. So, definitely a guy worth taking there at pick number 16. The Steelers at 17. We do not have a standard selection that I normally like to go after. And it's interesting because I think we need to address offensive line. I think we need to be able to potentially address receiver if we are potentially getting rid of Deontay Johnson. But we already got rid of Jordan Addison off the board, so not really a likely option. But you could look at DB as well. Christian Gonzalez still on the board, a very, very, very talented corner. So I think that wouldn't be a bad option. I think it's the guy with the highest ceiling. His field awareness is off and on, but so is the Steelers defense. We don't really have a consistent scheme. Jalen Jones could be there, but I already know I'm very high on them. We could end up taking a guy in the next round as well, like Clark Phillips. Going after a lockdown DB with good ball skills, to me is just probably the best return on our investment. So Christian Gonzalez is going to be the guy. Pick number 18. JPJ was taken. And like maybe there is a chance that we could be at this spot and you could have gotten a guy like Christian Gonzalez. But, you still have Cam Smith on the board. I still would have been perfectly happy going Joey Porter Jr. and being at the spot. So defensive interior, not really an option. You could go Trenton Simpson here. That is a choice. People talk about Bijan Robinson. I don't think that's an awful choice. I wanted to make sure I got corner first. That's the biggie. The biggie for me is getting a DB. Could you double dip? Sure. There's nobody in this class remotely worth this pick. There's not. And I just took Brian Breezy in the top 10. At 10. But for me, I don't like it. Man, James Houston is haunting me. I want to click edge and just go that route, but I'm not going to. I do think Trenton Simpson's going to test out of his mind. Definitely somebody who's going to get a lot of love. He's my linebacker 4 right now, but that's just because of the fact that he's unpolished. But this is a team where, 1, there's a little bit of wiggle room for someone who's unpolished. But 2, I really trust Dan Campbell to spark some growth within Trenton Simpson. And he has the highest ceiling in the class at linebacker. So I really like the idea of going Trenton Simpson here. Just another guy to add to a very, very, very high ceiling team. Pick number 19 for the Buccaneers. So I would look at Michael Mayer here. I think Michael Mayer is a fun option. I've been going AR this whole time, but I kind of want to go after Michael Mayer because he's getting that first round hype. You could, of course, go tight end round 2. That's what my always argument is. Like, I just don't think you need to take a tight end in round 1. I just don't. But if there is one to go in round 1, it's going to be Michael Mayer. And his comp is Robert Gronkowski, essentially. So at that point, if you're going to get Gronkowski, why not go to a place where, you won a Super Bowl? Robert Gronkowski. So I think that's a good option. I think it's a safe option. Cam Smith's the other guy. You have multiple DBs up for contract. This is honestly a very top-heavy DB class, especially with the way I draft. So I'm going to be going Cam Smith here out of South Carolina, a very high upside defensive back. Pick number 20 for the Seahawks. Now, this could be Anthony Richardson. It very well might be Anthony Richardson. It's a great guy to develop because Geno, as much as we love him, he still is an older player. It's not like he's 25 and it's like, oh, we'll have 15 years with him. At best, you'll probably get 3-4 more years out of Geno. And that is a very, very, very generous 3 to 4 years. So if you can develop a quarterback the way you developed Geno with Anthony Richardson, the ceiling is sky high. I think that's the best case scenario for you. Now, edge rusher, I agree, should be at least considered. And I want to make sure what we did at this pick. We got Breezy. So that defensive interior spot, that's great. We have it solved. We also have early second round picks right here where we can we have 3 second round picks. That's insane. Where we can end up addressing stuff like that. So for me, I want to get a position that has very low supply in the class and someone who has a crazy, crazy amount of talent. That's going to be Anthony Richardson out of Florida. Pick number 21. So, by the way, this is the most crazy mock that I have done so far. To me, I'm feeling like, goddamn, I'm insane. But looking at the guys on the board, I could totally see Paris Johnson being a good fit here. He can play guard in the short term. He's 6'6". It's a little bit weird for him to be a guard, but he also can play tackle. I like that versatility, especially when some tackle spots are up in the air. He's also played on left and right side of the offensive line. So for a lot of people who are taking Osiris Torrance, I think Paris Johnson's honestly a safer prospect. So we're going to go Paris Johnson with him labeled as an offensive lineman, not an offensive tackle, so that you can address either a guard spot or a tackle in the short and long term. Pick number 22. So Michael Mayer would not be a bad option here. DB, not a bad option. And let's look at my board really quick to see who's still on the board. Yes, I know I am a big fanboy of Isaiah McGuire. Why do I not take him so early? Because the fact that I know that the NFL community is not that high on him at the moment. Maybe they will be after the Senior Bowl. But until then, I'm not going to screw over the mock draft that you guys are consuming because of something that I love. I'll twist it in there so it has my little personal touch. But I want to give you guys something that's kind of realistic as well. So there's not really that many players on the board that are that insanely graded that it's like, oh, we need to take them right now. So looking at the corners, I could totally see Jalen Jones being a fit. Not only do I think he'd be a good pick for this team, but also I think the best part of it is that you're taking away from the Cowboys. And I love to do that with the Giants, is take away players from the Cowboys. I think a boundary corner is excellent. He's a top 10 player on my board. Is he what, number 7? He's still number 7 on my board. So I am a huge fan of Jalen Jones. It is a position you definitely do need to address. So we're getting good value there as well. So PFF's high on him. I'm very high on him. It's a nice little medium. Pick number 23. To me, Jackson Smith and Jigba is like the thing I immediately go to. But it's just there's no real other option besides Bijan that's that exciting for this team. And Bijan's not even needed. I just add him in there because it's like, well, shit. Imagine if you have Bijan. So we're going to go Jackson Smith and Jigba at this point. But at pick number 24, so for the Chargers, I'm looking at Michael Mayer. Again, Gerald Everett did kind of fall off. I could totally see them taking him here, and I do have that feeling I'm going to take him. I'm seeing if there's an NFC team that wants to move up for Bijan Robinson. Like the Cardinals could certainly be in like we need Bijan mode. That would not be a bad move. I wish there was a different team than Seattle that had multiple second-round picks that would just move up for him. There's just nobody really within range that does not have a stable running back core. But Michael Mayer is going to be the pick. You're essentially saying we're not going to let him go to the Bengals. So I think it's just a very smart move. So pick number 25. Again, Bijan's on the board. I don't think the Cowboys would be over the moon about that, but I'd also be willing to trade out and then go after either Devon Witherspoon or Eli Ricks, whoever is there. And maybe I'm higher on Eli Ricks than most, but I think he's a very good scheme fit. He did debate on going back, so maybe if he had a first-round grade, he would have come out immediately. I'm not sure. That's something that we'll clarify as time goes on. But I'd be willing to trade back here because Bijan's on the board, but not only is Bijan on the board, we are down to one tackle that's, to me, worth one of these picks, and that's Darnell Wright. And I know for a fact that the Bengals are going to be taking a tackle there, so we are going to trade up here. And what we're going to trade up with is the Kansas City Chiefs. And they have been aggressive, so to speak, in the past, like in terms of their acquisition of picks. Not necessarily trade-wise, but being able to acquire multiple first-round picks last year with the Tyreek Hill trade. You do see them at least trying to position themselves to get young players who can make an impact. Now, I think the Chiefs could toss in a third-round pick, and it would be a done deal. The Cowboys also in the third round. I think they could address some good stuff. I'm sorry, Chiefs fans, we're not going to have you in the third round this year or in this mock draft, but the Chiefs are going to move up and move to select a star tackle in Darnell Wright. No idea why he's listed that low, but that's for somebody else to deal with, not me. But pick number 26. So my two favorite players for this team, Michael Mayer, Darnell Wright, they just went off the board. So we could have a couple options. We can trade back with a team that wants Bijan, or we can draft a corner and then, just see if they're pretty much corner 2, corner 3 worthy. That's an interesting option. I don't know about that. I could totally trade back with the Bills, but I kind of want to make sure that a team takes him before the Bills. And for that, I'm actually going to trade with the Cardinals here. Yeah, we're going to trade with the Cardinals. The Cardinals are moving up for Bijan Robinson. They don't have a running back core, and you guys really do want to surround that offense or make that offense as good as possible. So I know this is kind of ludicrous, but we're going to be sending pick 98, which I believe is a compensatory or a beginning early 4th rounder. And maybe we'll send in a next year 5. I know it's crazy, but we're going to force that trade. It's trade bonanza here. And we are going to end up going after Bijan Robinson for the Cardinals. It was a hinted pick earlier on, but definitely somebody who could certainly totally change this franchise. Pick number 27. I think Jalen Hyatt as well as a DB are the best options for this team. I love Garrett Williams. I think Devon Witherspoon's going to get a lot of hype, so it's a good fit for the team. Pick number 28. Now, this is going to be traded. This is going to be traded for Sean Payton. And it's kind of crazy, but we are going to do it. So the New Orleans Saints are essentially going to send, we're going to just say 201. You can't do a coach trade in this. For pick number 28, Sean Payton comes in, totally revamps your franchise. But at pick number 28, the Saints are here. And I think probably the best move for you is to go after an edge rusher. I think that's the most likely thing that you'll do. But you could, of course, go a wide receiver. Jalen Hyatt's a very, very nice deep threat for you. But I'm going to go an edge rusher here. I want to get somebody who's like 260 plus. And I think that's like, you look at these developmental hyper athletic freaks you bring on. Andre Carter fits that type of mold. I think that's a great fit for the team. Keon White for a second rounder would not be a bad idea either. A lot of people say Lucas Van Ness, but I can't take him this early. You guys are going to go Andre Carter II out of Army. Pick number 29. The Bills, we're going to go to Old Faithful here. Antonio Johnson, hyper-versatile defensive back. You have him to be able to replace Jordan Poyer or Micah Hyde. I believe both are up for a contract. Pick number 30. So we traded back. Now we can sit and enjoy a defensive back. You can go Garrett Williams here, but I think Eli Ricks is going to be overvalued and be taken at this spot. Obviously, you're pairing up the Bama boys there with Trevon Diggs and now Eli Ricks. Pick number 31, formerly Philadelphia's pick, is going to be the Indianapolis Colts, and I am going to select O'Cyrus Torrence out of Florida to be able to bolster the offensive line. He needs time to develop, so that fifth-year contract is going to come in key because you're essentially going to have 4 really, really good years of him making a big impact. Let me know what you guys think. I know it's been an absolutely insane mock draft, but it's something that I just wanted to do and have a little bit of fun with. See you guys on the far side. Peace.